Gave one talk where I was talking about cash is king, trying to build up these buffers. One guy comes up and says, I disagree. I just had $750,000 mature out of CDs. What do I do with that? I don't believe you that cash is king. To be honest, sir, I wish I could tell you. I think there's worse problems to have than $750,000 in cash in the midst of a global financial crisis. Your mileage compared. We have a stronger dollar because we're just not as messed up as the rest of the world. Whatever you may think about America, the rest of the world's more screwed up than we are. Okay? Now, you don't believe me. Here's a great example. Greece, we've heard a lot about Greece. Did you know last year the prostitutes union in Greece went on strike for better pay and working conditions? What's that tell you? First of all, that they have a seriously, not making this up. I mean, why would you need to make something up when you've got material like that that's true, right? Right? I mean, really. Not only are they striking, they actually have a prostitutes union. So, no matter what you may think about America, it could be a lot worse. All right? Here's my question. So when you store grain, you effectively become a grain elevator. You store it for profit. You've become a grain elevator. What I challenge every one of my growers in my meetings is, do you know how a grain elevator makes money? Do you know how your local grain elevator makes money? And by the way, by screwing you is not an acceptable answer. Because that's usually what I hear. You guys know it. I was very lucky. I was a commodities broker for 2 years in the mid-90s. Worked in Vienna, Austria. I worked mostly with petroleum, with energies and base metals. And about the third day I was there. So I'm fresh out of college. This was my first real job out of college. So a few days after I'm there, the two guys, it was a small desk, about 12 of us, take me out for beers. It was Europe. It was totally acceptable to go out and drink and then go back to work. It was kind of a very interesting dynamic when you're trading millions of dollars in commodities, but they seem to make it work. So what's something that I think everybody can agree on when it comes to talking about ethanol? And what I realized is it's pretty hard to find something that everybody agrees on when it comes to ethanol. But after much searching, I finally found one thing I think we can all agree on. Okay? Likewise, as far as I can tell, this is also the last time anybody ever used truth and ethanol in the same sentence. Okay? Ultimately, everything goes into land values in agriculture. Why? The human part, the farming part, we can compete that away. The barrier to entry is not being able to steer an auto-steer combine. Okay? I mean, John Deere in 2013 is going to start supplying a monkey with every combine. His sole job it is to keep the farmer from touching the controls. That's not the difficulty. The difficulty is land. And that's where the value is. Does anybody here have little kids that believe the tooth fairy exists? They're in that sweet 5-6-year-old, right? Okay. How many kids do you have that believe the tooth fairy exists? Two. That's 2 more people than believe that cellulosic ethanol exists at commercially competitive pricing. I'm serious. For every $1 of direct payments you got, guess how much the value of the land went up? Capitalized in $1. Okay? About 98.5 cents of every $1 of direct payments was capitalized into land prices. Which makes total sense. Create a program in which you tell a farmer who's renting a piece of ground, hey, I'm going to give you an extra $10 per acre per year. How much more is he going to be willing to pay to rent that piece of ground? $12. $10, right? It's going to get bid in. Truth 3, energy balance doesn't matter. Okay, energy balance is commonly, we see this talked about. There was an article in the Dispatch yesterday about talking, and it mentions energy balance. I assert it doesn't matter, and here's why.
That argument is based upon the number of BTUs that goes in versus the number of BTUs that comes out. Okay? If you believe that all BTUs are the same, you must believe that all calories are the same because they're both just different measures of energy. Now, if that's what you believe, I ask you, do you believe that 2 Twinkies, 3 large apples, and 4 Girl Scout Samoas, cookies, not the ethnicities, the cookies, are the same? Do you believe that to be the same? Because they all have the same energy content. So is it okay for you just to give your kid the Samoas? No. Thank you. I'm an OSU professor. I can withstand an awkward silence longer than anybody in this room. So you'd better answer when I ask a question.
If you're working with college kids, as Dave, obviously you do, and you ask them what time it is, they all have to reach for their pockets, right? Nobody actually knows how to tell time anymore if you're under about the age of 40. And so from all the speaking I've been doing, I was complaining to my wife, because as a college professor, you kind of are self-selected to enjoy hearing yourself talk, and that means sometimes you tend to talk a little more than you should and lose track of time. And so I was telling my wife this, and so for our 15th anniversary last year, they put these little clocks you can now buy to go in your wrist, so you can keep track of it without actually reaching into your pocket. I found it really useful. And I realized 2009 is a teachable moment. Okay, teachable moment is educational jargon. The best example of teachable moments, I think, is this. Okay, this is an example of a teachable moment. These gentlemen are going to learn a lesson. I think 2009 is an opportunity for grain market. Now, maybe these guys will get out of the pool safely, soundly. Later, they will sober up and say, wow, I hope 2009 can be a similar sort of instance for the grain industry.